Edward Oliveira here. This is the December-November edition of the DNN monthly chat. I have here Mike Smeltzer. The other guys, the other team members, they are not around. I think that they are still shopping for Cyber, not Cyber Monday yet, but Black Friday, Black Friday was just yesterday.
It is Saturday morning too, so maybe they're still a little tardy.
Joe told me that he is a bit sick. I think that he just got a big flat screen TV. And, flat screen TV, it doesn't exist anymore, just a TV. And he's just in his PJs, checking YouTube videos.
Stuck on the couch.
Yes. So, and Scott, I don't know, Scott, we are missing you as well. But again, we're gonna make this, the two of us. Okay, so this is November 24th, Saturday, 10 a.m. in the morning, Eastern Time. Mike's is 1 hour earlier, or actually later than me, isn't it, Mike?
Ahead, yeah, I'm 11 a.m.
Yeah, so for our US friends, happy Thanksgiving. I mean, Thanksgiving was just 2 days ago. A lot of you guys are still enjoying the Black Friday and the shopping for the long weekends. And there's this thing about Cyber Monday as well. So
yeah, I've heard of Cyber Monday. It's I think it's just another ploy to get people out to the mall. But
I mean, there must be good deals out there. But I'm no longer willing to go to a store 6 in the morning for door crushers type of offerings. I'm not willing to do that,
Yeah, myself either. It's to save. Maybe there's probably some really good deals, but to save $30-40 to go crazy in traffic and running down the aisles is not my scene either.
Now I just want to mention that one time I stayed outside of a store waiting the codes for the store for Best Buy to open up so I could buy the iPad 2. I was standing for a few, I don't know, I mean, I was paying for my sins there, but I did that. I will no longer do that. I don't think so, but yeah, I did that once, So you never say never.
I think there's a lot of cool technology out there, but at least lately, nothing's been kind of the next evolution, right? The next awesome thing. Like there's awesome phones, but they're all pretty much the same. And when in the technology world, so I think that I think we're due in the next year for a new type of device or the next evolution of computing. So if that happens, you might catch me at the Best Buy lineup.
And then if that happens, somehow we're gonna make sure that we hook up DNN to that.
Exactly.
Anyway, my voice is not the best, so again, I'm not forcing my voice here. It's just that my throat is not that great. But anyway, let's get this going here. So as usual, a few blog posts that I want to quickly mention that went on live in the last 30 days, more or less. So the first one I want to mention is one from Tycho the Words. I really liked it. It's not a super technical DNN post, but it's more of a business. There's a business angle there, and I'm all for business angles. So he's just talking about an opportunity that he saw from one of his clients to create a donation type of website. So he saw the opportunity, he jumped in, he created a quick demo, and apparently things are going fine with the site looks good. So just demonstrating a bit of an inspiration here that if you see an opportunity out there, go for it, pitch, demo, draft, and who knows, you may have a new client, you may have a new opportunity there. Very, very good post here from Tycho, and he is mentioning that he was using DNN Sharp, and he got some help from a few other individuals that are in the DNN ecosystem. So again, a good one from Tycho. I really like his posts. Not they don't come too often, but when they come, they are very insightful, I would say. Okay, so DNN Digest, we have that put together by Clint Patterson every month. Just want to give a shout out to him and congratulate him for the 1 year anniversary of the DNN Digest. It's very good publication, Clint, that does, a bit of a summary of what's going on within the DNN space. And again, I love reading that. Thank you for doing a shout out to the TADUG user group meetups as well. Very good summary. To be honest, if you don't catch this, if you don't catch some other stuff around, if you get the DNN Digest, that will give you a very good summary of what's going on in the DNN ecosystem in general. So,
yeah. The few times I've read it, I see it every time it comes into the email, but it's always got a pretty good, like you mentioned, summary of the entire ecosystem. He pulls things from people in Europe, from North America, from around the world, and really puts into a nice little package there to get up to date. So it's always been quite informative.
Yeah, with interviews as well. He grabs what people are talking about in Twitter, anything. I mean, it's again very good summary. And new releases of the community blog, the community modules. So again, very good one here, very good reading. Okay, another one. The last post that I want to mention is the one from a mutual sellers, and it's that conversation, that it's an ongoing conversation about where the technology, where DNN in terms of Microsoft technology is heading towards, and there's the .NET Core conversation and the road ahead. So I read the entire post. Very good one to bring the information a little bit more concrete and seeing exactly what's in discussion right now. Not only from a high level standpoint that we have to go towards .NET Core, but how we get there. What are the immediate steps that we can start executing to get there? So I would encourage you, if you are a developer, or even if you're not a developer, but you want to see where things are going forward in terms of aligning DNN with Microsoft, because I mean, we cannot understate how important it is to align ourselves with Microsoft, because it's a technology stack that we are working on. So we should be chasing to be close by. Mike, I know that you are part of that group. So, I mean, any insights?
Yeah. The last two we meet weekly, and the last 2 weeks I've had some conflicts, so I haven't been able to attend, unfortunately. But I think it's really easy to get kind of stuck in the mud a little bit. When you're working on the same website or the same technology stack for a long time, you kind of get stuck there a little bit. And to your point, it's absolutely important. If you're building on top of someone else's technology, in this case, Microsoft's technology, it's important to keep up to date. Your specific website or your use case might be completely fine on, DNN 9 for the foreseeable future, and that's probably okay. But when you look at the entire ecosystem of what's there today and what you want to grow that into, it's really important to understand, why Microsoft's going that direction and why it's important for parts of DNN to go that direction too. And I don't know all the plans yet, but nothing is ever going to be 100% seamless to get to that end state. And I think that it's also important. I say end state. There's never really an end in technology. If you're treating your website or your platform or something as a product, it's got to evolve continuously. And you might have a use case where, you've set something up, it's secure, it's performant, and that might be enough for your use case. But for the entire ecosystem, you have to continue to evolve.
Very true, very true. And he covers, and here in his post, he covers things like what is his ballpark estimate as to convert DNN to a full .NET Core, and he talks about 8,000 to 9,000 hours. So a lot of effort will go in the foreseeable future, should be going towards that, and also that there, you see, he mentions here that we could potentially be running on web forms up until 2027, because that's when Microsoft at some point will phase that out eventually. However, What is the problem with letting things go like that? The problem is that we have to create a new generation and entice a new generation to use DNN as well. And we won't be able to entice a new generation if we are using an older technology. So again, it's for the survival of the species, you know, that we need to evolve, because it's not only about us that are here right now in terms of DNN. It's about who's coming behind us that can lead this technology going forward as well. Because I don't know if I'll be here, if I'll be around in 10 years, or if you'll be here, Mike, or if we have moved on to some other things. But again, it's also part of that. It's not because, oh, you want to be in the edge of technology. Well, first of all, is that, I mean, .NET Core has been going on for about 3 years. So it's not just about that. It's about enticing new people to join us as well. How will I be able to bring DNN into my college students if they're gonna say, oh, but it's using web? What is web forms, by the way? You know, I won't be able to do that, you know.
Exactly, right. And you know, I think that, and I don't know if Mitch mentions this in this blog post. I did skim through this one, but there's another one. If it's not this one, he mentions this. You know, DNN platform is a community of volunteers as well. And you know, you mentioned he says his estimate's like 9,000 hours. So that's not like calendar hours. That's effort hours. So you know, getting ahead of these types of things, which, you know, yeah, 10 years is a long time away, but when it's a bunch of volunteers that are building this platform, you have to get ahead of this stuff, or you'll get to the end game and you'll never have any runway to finish. So I think it's not, or it's very important not to lose sight of, you know, these people that are contributing their time outside of being paid. So it's far out, yes, but to your point, it's already been started. So maybe we're a little late getting started as well, if you look at it that way. But you know, you absolutely have to get there.
Yeah. So to a bit, I guess to wrap this up in terms of this post, he also mentions that the main focus, the primary focus of the DNN 9.3 release and 9.4 release is there's a real effort towards fixing the persona bar. So it seems to be the top priority there, and everything aligns to, you know, an improved product in the long run. Okay, so that's the last post. Let me just mention, I was just talking about DNN 9.3. Things have been pushed forward a little bit. Last time that I've seen this, November was supposed to be the release candidate, but now release candidate will be going on December 17th, and with the final date for January 7th of that release, DNN 9.3.0. Okay, so there's the roadmap page. You can always check the roadmap to see what's going on there. All the links mentioned here are, you know, added to the show notes, so you will have all of that there. The other thing that Mike was talking about was the TAG meetings, which is the Technology Ecosystem Advisory Group. It's a weekly meeting, and every week the recording gets posted. So there are 4 new meetings in the past 4 weeks, of course. But again, the post from Mitchell Sellers has a good summary of what's going on right now within those groups. So you don't necessarily, I mean, if you want to join in, great, but you have a good summary there done by Mitchell Sellers as well.
Just to add on that, I think it's important that, you know, we're always looking for people to join that want to take part. And, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to write code. You know, we want people to put in like go to GitHub and log bugs or log feature requests. You know, just talking about DNN and getting information out there is contributing as well outside the code. So people can't build features or fix bugs that they don't know about. So by all means, you know, taking part doesn't necessarily mean, you know, having to write code, but we're always looking for more people to get involved.
And on that same note, just want to highlight that there is a great post from Dave Poindexter. I think I've mentioned that. Maybe I've mentioned that last time, maybe not, but I'm gonna mention that again. I'm trying to open here, it's not quite loading, but just want to mention that it's a post that he talks about release candidates. What, you know, regular citizens like myself that are not involved with the coding side of DNN, what can we do to help when there is a new release candidate? Well, this post, and I'm gonna try to talk and go and find the post at the same time, but this post talks about exactly that, what you should do to test properly a release candidate. Which features should you test? What should you do? You should install, you should try maybe to create a new page, to add a user, to log in, to log out, to try to upgrade a prior version. So see, here it is. So a simple 10-step testing for DNN release candidates. So very good post done by Dave Poindexter, highlighting what we can do to contribute as well, not necessarily coding, but testing the release. Again, very in line with what Mike just mentioned. Okay, perfect. Okay, so moving forward here, another video recording. We love video recordings. I love video recordings. Core module development team, very excited group led by Daniel Veladas. This is a group that is pushing forward the development of the core modules of DNN to keep them up to date, to keep them working, to keep them compatible with newer versions of DNN. So I think that they have one meeting a month, I would assume, and there is a recording of that group. Again, we really all appreciate the effort that this group is putting forward to keep the open core modules, you know, up to date, because up until a few months ago they were all over the place and nobody was really taking charge of their further development. So again, very good to see guys from like Daniel and a lot more people involved here.
Yeah, they've put a lot of effort in. I think one of the big things there is that they're not necessarily promoting some of these as I would call them, legacy modules, because some of them date back quite far. But the big thing is to remove the roadblock of upgrading. So make, like as you mentioned, make them compatible with the latest versions of DNN. I think that you always want to you should reevaluate some of your building blocks and how you built your website. But there should never be a roadblock so that you cannot upgrade. So that's one of the big things that Daniel and the team has been working on, is just making sure that people who have older websites can get to the newer platforms without those roadblocks.
And we're going to talk in a little bit about the DNN building blocks. That's a good segue. But we're going to talk a little bit. Anyway, moving forward here, well, we have the last recording of the SoFried DNN user group meeting, where the main presenter was nobody other than our friend here, Mike Smeltzer. Mike, you spoke about introduction to Blazor and DNN connector API. Tell me what is that about?
Sure, yeah, I'd love to take credit for that whole show, but Clint Patterson actually did the Blazor presentation, and he did a really excellent job. So the first half of SoFried was Clint presenting Blazor, which is, I don't completely understand all of it yet, but it's a newer Microsoft technology that basically, you'd have to watch his presentation to get the real technical details, but in a nutshell, it lets you write Razor that runs on the client's web browser, not just on the server side. So there's some newer technologies that web browsers support. I believe WebAssembly is the name, and it actually lets your web browser run .NET DLLs locally in your web browser. It was pretty cool. So that was a really interesting topic, and the other half of it was my presentation on the connectors API. It wasn't like a really crazy technical thing. It was just kind of walking through, here's what connectors are in DNN. There wasn't a whole lot of documentation when they were released. So what I kind of did is just went through the code and reverse engineered as best as I could to find out what was going on and created a short presentation out of it. So if you're interested in learning how to build connectors, I believe it's DNN 9.2 that they came out, then that should be enough to get you started.
Yeah, it's funny because it's always a constant topic that comes out quite a lot on DNN, and not recently, but forever now, is the lack of formal documentation of things. And I think that there is a great initiative to document a lot of things under, I don't know if it's /doc or something, but I know that Kelly Ford is and was involved on that, documenting a lot of stuff around DNN. But it's interesting to see that there's always something to be improved there in terms of documentation, in terms of having a consistent way to how to develop this, themes and connectors and modules and persona bar extensions. I don't think that there is yet a central source of saying, hey, you go there to this place and you can find that exactly there. No, I guess that we have recipes, different developers have different recipes of how to do those things, and they promote their own recipes, but it does seem to be a central recipe of best practices,
Yeah, you kind of read my mind there. Actually, I was going to say something similar to that. Like, there are some good examples and presentations and some documentation out there, but a lot of them, have, if I was doing it, my spin on how I like to do it or how you like to do it, which is fine. But doesn't mean it's the only way to do it either, which is good, but also at the same time, to your point, lacks some consistency. So for someone who's new to a platform, it can be kind of mind-boggling. Okay, do I use module templates that use MS Build, or do I have to use the newer ones that use JavaScript, or this, that, this? So there's a lot to sift through, and I haven't been keeping up to date on Kelly's initiative. But it sounds like maybe that could be the start of having at least a consistent framework to present the documentation in. Because right now it's kind of scattered either blog posts or personal websites or business websites, GitHub. So hopefully that might be a good start to streamlining that documentation experience.
And you also read my mind there when you mentioned how difficult it is for someone new to come in and find how to go about things. Should I trust Mike's style, Mike's recipe, Chris Hammond's recipe, Scott's recipe? I mean, which recipe should I go for? So yeah, that's something that should be taken care of somehow. Okay, great. So great meetup from SoFried, and again talking about Blazor. Sounds like a competitor of JavaScript, as based on what you're saying, Mike.
The way Clint kind of described it, I haven't done any research outside of his presentation, so don't quote me. I could be completely way off base. But the way it came across was that you look at web forms. Web forms came from, hey, we want people who know how to build desktop apps to have a similar model to build web apps. Node.js. We want people who know front-end coding to now have some more power to do cool things with databases and stuff behind the scenes. So let's do server-side JavaScript. I think that Blazor sounds kind of very similar in that, hey, people know how to use C#. Now you don't have to learn all this other stuff. Maybe you can do it all in that. So it sounds like there's a trend and a theme there. I'm a bit of a pessimist, I guess pessimistic, because I liked using JavaScript and I like using C#, so I kind of know how to mend the two together. And I'm always curious about, okay, if I use a technology to help me, which can be awesome, but what else is it doing? How much bloat is it adding to pages? Do I get full control, or so there's always a trade-off. I haven't looked at Blazor yet, so I don't know my own personal opinion on it yet, but it did look pretty cool. I'll say that.
Awesome, great. Okay, moving on here. I would like to mention the last TADUG meetup as well. Talking about meetups, we had one for November, beginning of November, which was titled Building Complex Systems with DNN Sharp Modules. We had Bogdan Litescu talking about how they use their own suite of modules to implement their continuous integration process. So it was a bit towards the technical side, but if you're inclined, and let me tell you, there are so many people out there that live and die by DNN Sharp's modules, and they really bend and extend their functionality. It's a tool set in a way very geared towards the more technical savvy audience. But hey, again, people that use that set love that, and I've been a bit more exposed to their tool sets, and again, it's a great set of tools. So if you are interested to get to know a little bit more about the more complex side of DNN Sharp's modules, you should definitely have a look at our last meetup. That's November.
I missed that one. Is it basically like his internal processes on how they build the modules? Is that kind of the continuous integration, or is it more on the outside?
So it's really their CI process by using their own modules. So it's their continuous integration process that is built by using their own tool sets.
Oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, I'll have to catch up on that one.
So again, very towards the technical side, but as he put it, they are eating their own dog food to create their own CI process. They are not using any external CI tool, already made CI tool. They're using their own tool sets like action forms and a bunch of other tools that they connect them together, and that's how their tool set works. I mean, they have a bunch of puzzle pieces that they can work independently from each other, but you create powerfulness when you connect them, and it's all available out of the box, So yeah, I mean, no pun intended, they are sharp in their development, So that was the last TADUG. Now, I want to talk about a Phoenix type of initiative coming off the ashes. Coming out of the ashes, here we have the DNN Hangout. The DNN Hangout being resurrected by Will Stroh. It used to be a hangout that usually was done by Will Stroh and Joe Brickman a few years ago, and he just got that started again, Will Stroh, and he has Ralph helping, as a co-host. And they, in this first episode, they have interviewed Dave Poindexter from the famous, the nvQuick quick theme, quick site, quick awesomeness, So it was a good conversation there, an hour and a half. In a way, they cover the news and they cover what's going on around DNN as well. In a way, they are competing with us, so we better do a good job here, Mike, because otherwise they're gonna take over our 100 people audience. They're gonna take over. Anyway, good to see you, Will and Rolf, having that initiative moving forward again, and the more the merrier. Really? Do I really?
I just want to say that it's good to see this stuff pop up, because it means that the community is doing more things, trying to get more involvement, more news out there, and even if people end up talking about some of the similar types of things, just to get this content out there is a big win compared to, you mentioned a year ago DNN Digest. I was thinking when you were saying that, wow, that's been a year since that happened. the transition of the DNN Corporation, the transition of DNN to open source again, fully open source. These are good little wins along the way, and seeing these types of things pop up is fantastic.
And you know what? Let me tell you this. Even if we repeat certain things, but we never know. Someone may watch this, someone may watch that, someone may prefer to read the digest, someone is not very inclined to watch, through two people rambling through an hour. So again, who knows? People consume information in different ways from different channels, and we are just trying to have as many, reaching out to as many people as possible. That's really it. Different mediums, video, audio, written. We never know who sees what. Great. So again, great to see you guys resurrecting the DNN Hangout. Will and Rough. Okay, so keep up. Next one here, another recording. I haven't watched this live, but I wanted to, and I will review this video at some point. This is a recording, a webinar done by Chad Wes. I'm gonna keep it as Waze. Yeah, Chad is from the is a pre-sales engineer from DNN Corp. In this webinar, he was talking about keeping up to date with DNN. It's basically upgrading DNN and keeping it current. I love the topic because we do a lot of upgrades and there's always a challenge there, and we have a recipe of how to do an upgrade, but it's always good to see other perspectives of, but yeah, he's right there. I mean, we should watch out for that aspect or that other aspect. We never know. So there's always something, upgrades. First of all, upgrades should not be that hard, but you know what? That's the reality. That's a fact. They are not very straightforward. So because of that, we have people, like myself, like Chad was talking about how to upgrade DNN. So a good webinar done by a techie from DNN Corp itself, talking about how to best practice on how to upgrade DNN.
I think one of the big struggles that I've run into in my experience, at least, is that DNN is such a flexible platform, which is fantastic when you're building solutions. On the other hand, because of some of that flexibility, I think that at least I've seen many different types of setups in DNN. So to your point earlier about helping to test releases and things like that, there's just so many different combinations that unfortunately it's not as easy as upgrading the app on my iPhone. So it's a trade-off there, right? Like all these different modules, all these different styles, all these different things. You can't necessarily have something that's seamless. Hopefully one day we get to something that's can help mitigate the risks and smooth that out. And I'll definitely check out that webinar because it sounds like there could be some good tips in there. But flexibility can be great, but at the same time, it can be a detriment to.
Very true, very true. There's the drawbacks, and yeah, there is a general high level. Oh, you drop the DNN upgrade package, you run it, voila, all done. Really? So it might be hopefully yes, it might be a little bit more involving than that. So yes, DNN upgrades. Okay, so let's talk about future events. So we spoke a little bit about the past events. Let's talk about the future ones here. So I haven't put up page yet, but of course we have a guest speaker for the next TADUG meetup, and it seems that he's on everything right now. So Mike Spencer will be talking about the DNN building blocks on our next meetup, which will be done December 6th from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. and it's a Thursday this time around, not the regular day on Wednesday, just because the professor here has some other commitments. So I had to push this one day later, but eventually I want to get this back to our Wednesdays. But hey, so Mike, tell me a little bit of the DNN building blocks.
Sure. Yeah, Clinton actually made a joke at the Southern Pride. It said I was on the speakers tour recently. Yeah, there's a lot of content out there, and yes, some of it's in various places, but I've struggled personally over the years with knowing what to do sometimes. And what I mean by that is if I go online, there's lots of different tutorials about how to build a module, how to build a SPA module, an MVC module, how to build a skin, and some of these more common extension types in DNN or common development models. But unless you really dig deep, there's a lot of. I think someone said on one of the architecture meetings the other day, there's over 10,000 features in DNN. 10,000 features. So as a new developer or someone who's been around a while, I've been building on DNN for I think 8-9 years now. How are you ever going to know about 10,000 different features? And how are you going to know what ones are the right things to pick? So what I've been starting to do is internally and then through this meetup is talk about, okay, we know what these common module extension types are, but what about these other extension types? Now, I think there's something like 12 or 13 extension types. Some of them I didn't know existed. And then you say, okay, well, what about things that aren't extensions? So what about the API itself? What does the API give me? I actually the other day used the image handler for the first time ever on DNN. Wow, it's awesome. It helped me out quite a bit. So if there's like 10,000s of these types of things in the API, and there's no streamlined source of documentation yet, how are you ever going to know, what to use? Or maybe I'm going to build something that I don't have to, that's already there. So this presentation and this meetup is to just kind of talk about what are some of the, we know what the common things are. What are some of these other things behind the scenes that could really be beneficial to people, especially new developers or even existing developers who just, I'm guilty of this. I'm in my own little box sometimes. And, I did it that way, so I'll do that way again and again and again and again and again. But sometimes you got to step back and say, wow, look at this whole catalog of things that are available to me. So that's what it's about. It's to talk about these building, as I'm calling them, building blocks.
Got it. I wonder. I mean, in the same context, I wonder if there could be maybe in a centralized location, maybe from someone's initiative, a kind of a recipe repository, a recipe a place that you can say, hey, if you want to do this, go this way. If you want to, I'll give an example that just came to mind, because people sometimes they modify the core of DNN because they don't know a better way. They don't know there's another way, via extensions. They don't know that they don't need to modify the core of DNN because I mean they could use, if you need, again, nothing comes to mind right now, but it's a recipe. A recipe, what is a recipe is, if you need to do this, this is the way that you should do, in a centralized location that we can say, hey, are you new to theme development? Maybe what you want to do is design related. So go there, go to that recipe. There's a good recipe there that can point you towards, even if there's no centralized location where the actual description or step-by-step is stored, but maybe to have a place that can be a pointer to, okay, this is one way to go and use the persona bar or a traditional module or SPA or MVC, whatever it is. But I wonder if there could be something like that to point to the right building block, Mike.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. A lot of these is stuff that I come across. A lot of the things in DNN I find are really geared towards how a commercial module developer might do something. And what I mean by that is, if I'm building a module, I'm going to do it by the book. I'm going to use the manifest. I'm going to have it all packaged up nicely, nice little self-contained shippable module. And that works. But if I'm building a large application for a single client and these components are highly custom, maybe I'm not going to do something in a way that a commercial module developer might do, right? Maybe maybe I track my code outside of DNN differently, or my SQL scripts. So maybe I'm not putting SQL scripts in my modules. Maybe I'm using another tool because my company as an operational process. And, there's no way to have documentation that talks about all these different topics. But I think that having some that says something like, if you're going to sell this module, here's how you want to do it. However, if you're building a highly custom solution, you don't have to do it this way. And here's the drawback potentially, but here's also the benefit. I've struggled a lot in the past with, okay, I need to do it this way because here's how the documentation says it. But I'm building a highly custom solution. So maybe I want to do it a little bit differently. Maybe I want all of that module's styles to be inside my skin because on a day-to-day basis, it makes it easier for me to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Whereas if I'm selling this to you, Anderson, I want this to work in your installation no matter what. So it has to be, nicely self-contained and whatnot. So, I definitely think that absolutely maybe part of us starting to talk about these things, then maybe we can, naturally start to have a site or a repository of some extra guides to help point people down the right direction.
Awesome.
Or at least start thinking about options.
About options, yeah. Great. Okay, moving on here. So next meetup, TADUG meetup on, let's see here. Yeah, December 6th. It's a Thursday. So very soon I'll post the meetup page, that page. So moving on here to DNN Summit 2019. Just wanted to mention February 19th to 23rd, Denver, Colorado. The speakers have been announced, so you can go to this link, the speakers link, and you're gonna see all the speakers there with their sessions as well. So again, great set of speakers, of presentations, and of course there's the training tracks as well, admin, module development intro, module development advanced. I'm just gonna brush through this theming and evoke plus liquid content. So those are the 5 tracks for the full day training. Actually, I think that one of them is not a full day training. Mike, are you going to DNN Summit?
Yeah, my initial plan was to go to DNN Summit, but I have a child. My first child is somewhere, just before, the weeks before. So I'm not gonna. My wife has actually is really supportive, and she's like, "Go to this conference." But I want to be there for the first few weeks, unfortunate timing. I looked through the sessions the other day, and there's some really cool ones that I saw that I was really interested in. But sometimes you gotta put life first.
Of course. And actually, I remember that Clint had that same kind of problem. I don't know if it was this past DNN Summit. Yes, awesome. Okay, so again, speakers are there. I was asked, or I volunteered to do the interviews with the speakers. Usually I do that between November and December. I plan to do that. I'm not sure how am I gonna do that with my current commitments. I hope that I can have a chance to do at least 5 meetups where I interview a bunch of them together. But I still have to work this out, and I'm talking about this, so I'm kind of committing, but yeah, I have to look so I don't go crazy there, actually crazier than I already am. So, but hopefully
I didn't want to say
I love doing that.
Open the door.
What is that, Mike?
I said I didn't want to say it, but you opened the door on the crazy one.
Yes, I did. So, but you see, the thing is that it's good to do the things that we like. I enjoy talking. I enjoy talking to the speakers. I enjoy those things, and sometimes it's hard to say no to things. I mean, it's very easy to say no to something that you don't like doing, but it's a bit hard to say no to something that you enjoy doing. But sometimes you can overcommit. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that. Hopefully, I'll be able to put some of those interviews together so you guys can have a quick taste of what is to come up during the DNN Summit. Yeah, usually Joe is the one that juices up the DNN Summit segment, but I'm gonna leave it at that. So again, check it out, the speakers, the sessions, and that's about it. In terms of events, just want to quickly mention the weekly DNN Open Friday, happening every week, Fridays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Here I am giving more excuses. I have not been too present there, but I have been opening them up every single Friday. It has collided with some of my teaching right now, so I haven't been able to be actually there helping. But it's great to know that, and great to see that I don't actually need to be there, because people are there. People are there helping each other, and I don't need to be there with a carrot and a stick. I don't need to be there doing that. So again, great to see. I have the Slack open. You can see many conversations that I'm missing already, but great to see people come together without the necessity of me being around to, to help out. So good. So come by. What is DNN Open Friday? DNN Open Friday is a time slot every Friday, 4 hours, where people that knows about DNN, people that wants to know about DNN, we come together on this Slack channel and we talk. We talk right there. We try to help each other right there and then, real time, live. If you go to deskpaul.com/open, the link must be here somewhere. You can sign up. Just put your name and email address. You're gonna get added to the Slack work group right away. That's about it. Okay, now just have you, Mike. You're gonna compete alone here, but
usually Scott or Joe go before me so I can play off their answers. So now you put me on the spot.
So we have the Jeopardy song here. So let's see. Let's talk about the Guess the Fake now. I've done a bit of a spin in the Guess the Fake here to celebrate DNN Summit. So I might as well do Guess the Fake DNN Summit session. Now, let me tell you, they all look legit. They all sound legit. So if you get this right, Mike, I have to say, you read through them and you memorize them. It's really a shot in the dark, but hey, here you go. I'm gonna go through 5. One of the sessions will be the fake one. Not very obvious at all. Could be anyone. So let's go to the first one. Work from home or living at work. This is a session talking about working remotely that is becoming more and more common, especially in this field, in the technology fields. While it has tremendous upsides, it presents a new set of challenges. I love the topic, I love the topic.
Yeah, I've recently started doing more work from home too. So I've been.
That's the first one. But again, DNN Summit, work from home. What's the point? Anyway, that's the first one. Second one, Azure DevOps and DNN. When developing your DNN website, you are ready to ship to production. You sometimes realize that the environments are different. So again, this is a topic about Azure DevOps and DNN. The third one, Plant and App, the low-code development platform on DNN. I've never heard about low-code development, so I had to search for that. Again, I might be faking here, okay? So what is low-code? Low-code development. A low-code development platform is software that provides an environment for programmers to use to create applications through graphical user interface. Drag and drop programming, drag and drop coding. So, Plant an App. Third one. The fourth one. Installing DNN on Windows Azure is too hard. You should not do it. Very obvious about, from the title. It's a session about using DNN Azure and installing DNN on it. And the title is just a way to catch your attention. Very good. Very good one. Again, I might be faking here. The last one, fifth one, is planning for accessibility. Very current, very ongoing, ongoing topic. This session will discuss the standards, provide thoughts on why it's important to foster an environment that cares about accessibility in the context of DNN. So you have 5 here, Mike. What I'm gonna do this time around, I'm gonna publish all 5 of them in our chat window, so you can have a quick peek at them. And I'm gonna bring the little song, the Jeopardy song, and then you're gonna have a few minutes, a few seconds actually, to think about this. So here we go.
I recognize a couple, so I think I've got a 50-50 chance.
And if you're ready for it, go for it.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm going to go with working from home, the first one. That's the fake.
Got it. Awesome. Great. No, it's not. As I said, they are very possible. And actually, the tricky thing is that I went to a previous, the list of sessions from another DNN Summit, and I got the fake one from there. Actually, the fake one is the planning for accessibility, the very last one. This is not there. It has been there in previous years, but it's not there. No, work from home or living at home. It is a session from what's the name? Lee Wise. Lee Wise. Okay. He is a front-end, back-end developer, worked with a few providers in the DNN ecosystem. I think that he moved on to yet a third one. Very good guy. Okay. He did a video once for DNN Hero, and he works from home. He has a family, kids, and I guess that he will be preaching how the best way, the pitfalls of working from home as well. So it is a true session.
I was going to say the first one or the third one were my guesses. I knew the Azure ones, both of them were up there.
No, Plantain App is a session from Bogdan Lutescu from DNN Sharp. He'll be talking about the low-code development, approach on DNN. A drag and drop kind of thing.
Yeah, those sound pretty cool. I am quite surprised that accessibility. And I don't know if there's another one that talks about accessibility, but that's not a topic. That's a huge topic in just web development in general. And I've struggled with solutions that, there are, I don't know the rules in the States, but there are provinces in Canada and there are industries in Europe where you are mandated by the government to be accessible, or you can be sued, charged, penalized in some way, shape, or form. So that sounds like a great topic for someone to do in the future.
No, it is. It might have been that just nobody submitted that topic, but I have to tell you, one of our clients at Desk Paul, he came up the other day asking if we have anything ready to make a DNN website accessible. It's such a. I still think that it's an obscure topic. That it's not. But again, it might be just my lack of knowledge in this space, but different rules with different, as you mentioned, there are rules in the US, rules here in Canada, different provinces will have different things. So to me, it's a very obscure topic that has a lot of there's no, at least in my view, there's no clear cut. This black and white here, this is right, this is wrong. There are a lot of gray areas there, and I find that gray areas make me nervous. From a technical standpoint, to comply with something makes me nervous. I mean, are we right or wrong here? So
yeah, I think you're based in Ontario, and I've been doing a lot of research on this lately. I don't have the exact point, but I believe in Ontario that all businesses, and like you mentioned, there's some gray area and there's some strange rules, but I think it's all businesses in Ontario that have more than 50 employees must have an accessible website or could face fines of over $100,000 Canadian. So, and then there's some other gray area around, it's not necessarily gray area, I just don't understand it all. But then there's some other terms that, if you're working on a website that's been around, prior to this isn't correct, but prior to say 2015, then you don't have to have the whole thing accessible, just the new pieces. Versus if you're making a new web project, you have to have this and that. But they're very real fines that could happen, and I think a lot of this is personally the way I talk to clients about this is it's that what's your risk tolerance? Just because no one's complained, what happens if someone does complain? And it's a scary topic. It's a great topic. There's just a lot of ambiguity, I think, amongst the jurisdictions as well, as you mentioned. So, yeah.
Okay, good, but good play. I knew it wouldn't be easy because they were very possible, but again, there were a few that were not directly related to DNN. Anyway, Mike, the next one here goes to you again, which finally I've put it live. The set that you put together for DNN Hero called DNN Development Overview. And I think it ties back to this overarching topic of building blocks, isn't it? I mean, what can you tell about this set that you put together? Which, to be honest, it's quite a juicy set. It's over an hour long. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't realize how long it was until you sent me an email the other day, and it said that there was an hour and 11 minutes of content. So yeah, absolutely. I put together I think it's 4 or 5 videos over an hour of content, and it's not a tutorial about how to build modules. Though there's tons of great content on DNN Hero and in other places. I don't think there's much I could add there, but what this is really a collection of just really some of my experience over the past 8, 9, 10 years in working in DNN and kind of relating to building blocks in that, there's all kinds of things to think about. And especially to new developers, you're not going to find a whole lot of material that really is, I try to be as non-biased as possible. Everyone's use case is different. Everyone has different programming styles or experience or desires to learn. And it really just tries to touch on, if you're building solutions on DNN, outside of just trying something, here's a wide breadth of topics. One of those topics is the building blocks in DNN, but things you got to think about or should think about so that you're not introducing security concerns or quality assurance concerns, or necessarily building something down a rabbit hole without thinking about this whole other topic, which if you don't, you could really put yourself into a bad place depending on how big your project is or your website or your web app or whatever it is you're building. So it's really just a big overview of, hey, let's just talk about DNN from a high level, and then let's get into some actual, here's some things that I've come across, which you might too. So heads up. And then, okay, we've got a big introduction. Now where do you start? And it touches on development. It touches on third-party modules. It touches on the API. It touches on just some internal conversations you might want to have with your company or with your client, depending upon your business model. So it's, I wouldn't pinpoint one topic. That's it's just a big collection of useful information, or that I hope people find useful.
So, who would you say that is the audience for this video? Is it a DNN admin? Is it a DNN? Is it a vendor that creates websites for their clients? Is it a developer, coder, programmer?
Sure.
Who's the audience?
I believe the term I'm using in the presentation is that I'm saying that the audience of this is for a solution developer. And I use that word solution developer because, to your point, you don't need to code to build a DNN website necessarily. You could just be a good user. You could admin a DNN website in certain ways. You could be a developer. You could have someone who's got no IT experience whatsoever. So, really, I think it's for anyone who's going to be involved in building something in DNN, regardless of how you're doing it. There's going to be topics in there that, you might not care about the minute and a half discussion about some API or something like that. But, I'm under a firm belief if you're going to be actively building things on .NET Nuke, whether it's using third-party modules, whether it's custom coding, whatever it is, there's probably something in there for you. Not all of it, but there's probably something. Even if you're maybe not even, maybe you're a mid-tier management and your team is building a DNN website and you just want to know some stuff about DNN at a high level, you'll probably get some benefit from it too. So I think it's, I tried to do it in a way that wasn't just developer, just skin designer, just admin, just a nice general overview for people that use DNN, or I should say, are using DNN to build a solution. If you're the, if you're the client that never logs into DNN and just uses the custom component that I build you, maybe not, but maybe there might be something too. Maybe there might be something in there for you to think about and talk to your team about. So it's a pretty wide general presentation, I think.
Let me ask you this, Mike. If I would be someone just getting started with DNN and more techy, more towards development, would this give me a solid overview, of what do I have available for me?
Yeah, 100%. And that's where, some of those topics talk about the building blocks, talk about, what are the development types in DNN, not code level, high up. And, I personally would, I think I would have benefited in my, my career or my hobbies of using DNN of someone just kind of trying to give me a high level, non-biased, hey, here's stuff in DNN before you jump into the code. You mentioned earlier, people modify the core, they might modify the default file because they don't know. We talk about that in this course, about, here's things you don't want to touch. Here are terms in DNN that if you're in DNN on a regular basis, you should know about the terminology. You should know about certain tables in the database. So yeah, I would highly suggest watching that. It's applicable to DNN 9. We talk specifically about some extension types that are only DNN 9, but all of the rest of it is kind of backwards compatible with DNN 7, DNN 8, or DNN 7. So I would strongly suggest if people are into learning, watch that video and then go ahead and watch some of the other really more technical, in-depth walkthroughs. I think they go hand in hand with each other, and this is a good segue into starting to get into DNN.
Got it. So this can be a, let me have a peek at DNN. Okay, so this is what is available. Oh, I want this little piece here. I want this block. So let me go deeper into this block here.
Yeah, I would say it's a primer, right? A primer for building solutions on DNN.
Awesome. Great. So again, thank you very much for that set, Mike. Coming towards the end here, I could not imagine that we could go on for an hour and something, Mike, but again, we are almost wrapping this up. Last segment here is about what's new, what's exciting. Mike, we can start with you. I mean, what's new, what's exciting for you, technology-wise, in general? I know the baby's coming, that's the most exciting thing. Beyond that, there's nothing beyond that, is it? Is there?
That's occupying a lot of my time. I spent this morning tidying up her nursery and getting it ready. So we've got weekend goals every week before we have our child to get things ready. So that's been occupying a lot of my time. Technology-wise, I'm starting to. I mentioned earlier about you can get stuck in the mud if you're working on the same types of things over and over and over again, and the industry is continuing. So what I've been doing lately is kind of trying to step back and saying, okay, what are things that I want to learn as just as personal interest, technology-wise, and also to help me professionally. So I've been investing a lot of time into building progressive web apps. And mainly also building them on DNN, and trying to find out trying to learn new technologies there. Which has been really, really beneficial. I've also been looking at you've used this term before. I think it's what's your toolbox, and I've been starting to look at what's in my toolbox and what are things that I've been doing for a long time, which I never stopped back and said to myself, okay, I know I've been doing this, but maybe I want to upgrade my skill set there, or maybe I don't want to do that anymore because it's always caused me grief. So I've come across some new CSS frameworks. There's one out there called Bulma that I started using, and I've been using it both personally trying to learn, but I've used it also on a new client project. And it's a modern grid type framework that's a competitor to a Bootstrap. But I bring it up because it's the only CSS kind of framework for doing responsive design that I've used on DNN without a single issue. And it doesn't put, if you load in like a Bootstrap, it's going to affect, all your HTML tags, whereas this only works off class names. So you can use as much of it or as little as you want, which has been great because if you have an existing project and you're just trying to incrementally make it better, you could use this. Or if you're starting from scratch, you could build your theme. Sometimes I'll do a theme really quickly outside the DNN and then pull it in. But in my past, if it's done certain ways, whoa, okay, now I got to compete with all the DNN stuff. Whereas this, you don't have to. And it's really helped me out on DNN development. So that's something that I would highly recommend taking. It's open source, taking a peek at.
So it would be great, Mike, if you could share with me progressive web apps. Yeah, I got it. But if you have any particular link that you'd like to share about progressive web apps and about this framework as well, it would be great if you could drop that on the chat so I can have it for the show notes, okay?
You got it.
Awesome. Okay, from my side, new and exciting. Okay, I think this is new and this is definitely new and I think it's exciting too. And it's funny because there is a topic in the next DNN Summit. Chris Hammond is talking about Let's Encrypt. So what is Let's Encrypt? Let's Encrypt is, I would call it a service that you can create, or you can create SSL certificates to all your sites. If you have a private server, a virtual server, if you have a server that is running one DNN site, many DNN sites, it doesn't matter how many, you can install this sucker, and this guy, without paying anything, it will add the certificate to as many sites as you have. You don't pay a cent. It renews automatically. It creates a task on your Windows task manager to renew the certificate every 3 months, because I don't know the reasoning behind, but when you create a certificate, an SSL certificate with Let's Encrypt, it's valid only for 3 months, but every day there's a task that will get the ones that are expiring automatically renewed. So I have used that, I've tested this, I have used this for a client. It works flawlessly. It's originally more developed for Linux. However, people already came up with a Windows implementation of that, Windows Server implementation. It worked flawlessly, even though I'm not doing the DNN tip of the weeks anymore because of my time constraints. But I really want to put a tip on Let's Encrypt together because it's so useful, it's so simple to use, it saves money, it saves time, and again, Let's Encrypt. Have you heard about Let's Encrypt, Mike?
I've heard about it. I actually I host most of my sites on Microsoft Azure, and I went to set up Let's Encrypt, but you have to set up, you mentioned schedule tasks and things like that. So I tried to do it on Azure in, I think it's like Azure Functions, where you can schedule these things to run. And I had some challenges. So I'm actually, I'll take a peek at that. It sounds like it could be very beneficial, because certs can cost, cost a lot of money. I think I pay like $100 for mine. So,
yeah. I've to be honest, I haven't tried this on Azure. However, I think that Chris Hammond's talk might be about Let's Encrypt within Azure. So I've tried this on a regular Windows server, which worked quite well. Not only on a 2012 server, 2016 server, and even I think it was a 2008 server, or yeah, I think it was. Anyway, it was IIS iOS 7.5, iOS 8. Anyway, it worked flawlessly. Again, I'm very glad that I came about that and using that successfully. That's what is exciting, what's new from me. And anything else, Mike? Did we cover everything?
You know, it was 11:23, and I said to myself, "Wow, we're gonna end early today." So yeah, it's kind of funny that I think we talked longer between the two of us than we do the four of us.
We did, and yeah, that's about it. I mean, if you are a survivor, if you got this far in our conversation, I wish you all great December. Hopefully, you can talk again before Christmas. That should be our Christmas edition. Have a great, month, great next 30 days for all of you, and happy shopping, happy Cyber Monday if you are inclined to that. And we talk again in about a month. Cheers. Bye.